It's another BumbleKast Mini, sponsored by Twilight.
Let's go ahead and jump into it with this one. Which of the sub-endings of Shadow the Hedgehog do you think it would be most interesting to see Silver the Hedgehog come back in time to fix?
Any of the dark endings, really. You know, Shadow has betrayed humanity and either is a soldier of the Black Arms or is leading the Black Arms. And the world is in peril. So, Silver would probably be of, the few stragglers who survived the great harvest of all life on Earth and is here to stop that.
Fascinating. Next question. Do you think the Echidnas or the Babylonians may have had some type of relationship with the Black Arms, as in wars, prophecies, trade agreements, diplomatic dance parties?
Yeah, sure. Pachamaca really could tear up the dance floor. I don't think the Echidnas...
Also, apparently you're saying that wrong, but...
I know.
Are you saying that wrong on purpose to just make people mad at this point? I would believe that.
No, I legit can never remember how it's said, so...
Yeah, I don't know exactly either, but that's apparently incorrect, so... I don't know. It's something people have brought up multiple times. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Echidnas, I don't see them having interacted with the Black Arms. The ancient Babylonians, I'd have to review writers, but they might have been running from something, or maybe their world fell prey and Babylon Garden was the escape shuttle, perhaps, but that's pure theory crafting.
Mm-hmm. Next up, one of my favorite things to do in Shadow the Hedgehog is track the timelines of non-Shadow characters who, honestly, since the player can't completely derail their personalities, seem to be pretty in character for the most part. Works great for everyone else, but it gets fascinating with Knuckles. He goes from complaining about not being back at the Master Emerald, to getting involved to save a modern city from being blown up, to going out of his way to destroy the Black Comet. Am I crazy for thinking Shadow the Hedgehog implies a very important arc for that era's Knuckles basically happened off-screen, or can you kind of see it too?
I don't think that's a wrong way to interpret it. I wouldn't put a lot of weight on it, given how the storylines can really be funky if you try to reconcile some of the progression, depending on how you advance. So I don't know if that really works, but I also haven't sat down and scrutinized it at all. So who am I to say? I think Knuckles fighting to defend people and destroy an enormous threat while also still wishing he was back home doing his job isn't so much an arc. I feel like that's just him. But again, that's your headcanon that I haven't really researched to properly counter-argue. So you do you, man.
My first introduction to Mike Pollock's Eggman was a certain CGI scene in Shadow, which instantly made me adore him. Quote, "I'm at my limits, I have no choice. Send in the Eggman fleet! Charge!" Do you think Eggman's pride in this scene was more frustrated from having to do some heroics, or from having to use the fleet that Traitor made in Heroes?
That's an interesting read on it. I had assumed that the Egg Fleet was Eggman's construction, and that Neo Metal was supposed to be part of a grander plan. It's just Neo Metal turned on him and took everything for himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
But you could read it the other way too. I mean, that's, it's loose enough. I can't say it's wrong. I mean, you could also read it the other way too, that he, doesn't want to help anyone, but he's kind of forced into the role of hero by fighting off the Black Arms. But at the same time, I always interpreted it as him fighting for his world. It's his planet. He owns it. Mine. Get off. So, I don't know.
I thought that song was about Sonic, though.
Kyle?
What?
Kyle?
What?
No.
Whatever. If the Twitter takeovers were even 1% canonical and Black Doom was still alive, probably in gun captivity, do you think that Black Doom would offer Shadow tips on how to become the protector to humanity that Doom tried to be for the Black Arms?
No. If Black Doom survived, if anything, he would be trying to either get into Shadow's head and take control of him and make him his tool of revenge, or just straight up get revenge on Shadow and everybody else.
Yeah, I think you might be trying to give him a little too much credit there.
I mean, any kind of fatherly pride on Black Doom's part, I think, is wholly selfish.
Yeah.
Shadow, his creation and his power and his destructive capability are all things that Black Doom holds in high regard. He would appreciate the beauty in such destructive power, even at his own expense, but I don't think it's in any kind of benevolent sense.
Yeah.
The first thing that kind of pops into my mind is the ending of the first arc of Tenchi Muyo, where, spoilers if you haven't watched this old anime, Kagato is defeated, and in his last moments he realizes how he got played and how he let his guard down and how he lost. And as he's dying, he, kind of congratulates Tenchi and says, "You've won, boy." No shaking his fist, no curse you, not, "How was this possible?" Just, "Oh, I got played. I lost. Nicely done." He doesn't feel good for Tenchi. He isn't proud of Tenchi. He doesn't want Tenchi to win, but he still appreciates the fact that he was beaten. So I think that's kind of the same thing here, is Black Doom appreciates, or if he were alive, would appreciate what Shadow is and what Shadow can do, but he's still not going to want to die.
Well, I guess we should get into this next one then. I'm going to let you in on a dumb idea, which I can never seem to stop daydreaming about for long. A musical about the life of Gerald Robotnik. What moments from his life would each of you most like to see covered in a big showstopper song of what musical genre?
I don't know. Maybe in the style of a operatic tragedy. Here's this brilliant man who devotes his life to science, who literally reaches the stars and is advancing mankind towards prosperity. And for all his genius and all his achievements, he still can't save the life of his granddaughter. And so now he must make a literal devil's bargain to, run the risk of angering the military-industrial complex or these ravenous aliens in this desperate bid, this hope against hope that the ends will justify the means, and how it all ultimately comes crashing down and drives him to madness.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going to say Crush 40 rock opera and leave it at that.
I don't know. Have your opening number be something aspirational and inspirational about all that he hopes to achieve and all of his desires for mankind, and then have a reprisal at the end when he's gone mad and he's chained in some dungeon about to be shot, and put everything on this kind of minor note, depressing angle.
Wow. I mean, I could see that working too. It would be interesting. In the background of Shadow the Hedgehog's main menu, there's a text scroll which has some pretty confusing text. It specifically mentions the Black Arms and the humans, but it also mentioned something else called Nermis. I'm guessing this isn't some weird code word for egg pawns, so that leaves only one faction of their world, a faction which, to the best of my knowledge, doesn't actually have an official name stated elsewhere. Is there any reason I shouldn't refer to the animal folk as Nermis until or unless Sega gives us something current and official to call them?
You got me there. That's a factoid I'm not familiar with. I'm inclined to say no, given this was still during the Two Worlds period, so the Mobians, I refuse to call them Nermis, wouldn't be present. But you've got Sonic and crew there, which are a decided faction, so I don't know.
God, gosh dang bunch of Nermis. So stupid. I think they were just making stuff up and put them randomly in the background just as red herrings to throw everybody off. I doubt they put that much thought into it. But it's fun to imagine. So it seems to me that as a part of freeing up Shadow's character, Maria's wish was actually meant in this game to become a specific, resolvable issue, even while it still informs his own morality beyond that. In retrospect, when Maria told Shadow her wish, do you think she may have specifically meant that he was created to protect humanity from the Black Arms, since Gerald's recording proves she knew?
You can maybe apply that retroactively, but I think the intention in SA2, which was written without Shadow's game in mind, I'm sure, was that she just wanted Shadow to be a protector of humanity in general.
Mhm.
And that I feel like is more appropriate because that blanket statement includes stopping ravenous space aliens, along with other things, rather than just Shadow, protect humanity from the ravenous space beings. And that's it. You're done now. Clock out. Go home. Never
Yeah.
look back.
But I see what you did there. Never turn back. There's a graphical error in Sonic Adventure 2 during a CGI cutscene. After Chaos Control, we can clearly see that the Ark's fall damage gets undone. This was obviously, possibly accidentally, put to good use by Shadow the Hedgehog, which seems to imply that Shadow fixed it on purpose, probably trusting Sonic, an equal without his cursed blood, to figure out that he had to use it. What are some of your favorite moments from Sonic or other franchises that takes a small issue like this and turns it into something so elegant that it actually feels like it was foreshadowing all along?
I'm pretty sure that's your headcanon, man. I think they rendered one arc model for the CG cutscenes and they just used it again and then didn't keep the notes in between games, kind of like how the moon has a hole in it and then doesn't. I mean, good on you for trying to find reasoning in there. Honest to God, that's been most of my career with this franchise, but let's also make the distinction of what's your headcanon and what we can actually verifiably prove. Unless you know of some like obscure bit of background detail that I didn't know about Nermis. So please, if you got a link to it, put it in the comments below and educate me. But to actually answer your question, there's small details like how does this work out? I think it's like in Unleashed, you have the option of accepting a date with Amy, and then Secret Rings, which I think came later, has Amy cross that Sonic was late for the date, implying that there's a canonical acceptance on his part.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
Unless I've got the order wrong, in which case, never mind me.
I'm being told that apparently it's Black Knight, not Secret Rings.
Oh, it was Black Knight. Okay, then yeah, I'm more confident in the order of things. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I'm also being told that in that cutscene there is part of the arc that breaks off, like in the same cutscene. So,
just like floating around in space? Or?
I don't know exactly, but that's what I'm being told.
It's been a long time since I've seen that scene, so.
Who knows? Maybe they did come up with something like that to try and fix their mistakes, or maybe it was completely intentional all along. You never know! Next up, which of the 10 sub-endings of Shadow the Hedgehog do you think Mephilis would enjoy popcorn watching the most slightly tweaked versions of?
Oh, the dark endings for sure. Watching Shadow give in to his base desires and bringing death, destruction, and misery to everything, that's totally his bag. He'd even go for the neutral runs because, Eggman dies, either by Shadow's hand or in action, in which case, either way, he's going to be tickled by it.
Black Doom is a pretty strong contender for one of the most lore-important one-shot characters. This leads me to wonder what he might be like in other continuities. In the Boom universe, I can't help but picture Black Doom being morality flipped like his son. Pretty easy to flip their galaxy-wide societal uplifting projects and their strong sense of shared communal oneness into heroic virtues. What do you think the Boomverse Black Doom, Black Boom, if you will, would have been like?
Black Doom had these kind of very broad religious overtones to him in some of his monologuing. So maybe Boom Doom would be like one of those Southern Baptist preachers. Shadow, you must come to the lab. You must help me take over Hedgehog Island. It has been ordained. This is how it must be, my child. Who are you? I am the Reverend Doom, and I have seen what is going to befall this horrible, sinful island.
This is so weird.
Can I get an amen? And everyone just awkwardly stares at him.
Yes. Yes, they do. All right.
Rings the doorbell at the egg base. Hello, have you heard the good word? No. Well, you see, if you just give yourself unto me, I will devour you and free your soul of sin. Door slam shut.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing. And finally, the last question is, let us say that Shadow falls off of a digital circuit or mad matrix and he falls past the interdimensional barrier of the artificial astral plane of cyberspace into another dimension that has a bad habit of colliding with cyberspace, the digital world. Then after learning that whole situation, the powers that be of the digital world decide to test Shadow's world by giving Black Doom, the gun commander, and Eggman each their own Digimon partners. What personalities would these partners have, and which of these three could most effectively, through emotionally opening up these new familiars and growing into their best self, however horrifying that may be, bring out the full power of this super weapon friend they've each been gifted?
All right, so going off your notes from the previous episode, I'm thinking that the Gun Commander and Eggman both get something from the Metal Empire line. Eggman's Digimon's going to be his worst best friend. By which I mean he's going to be encouraging of all of Eggman's bad ideas. And Eggman is going to do his utmost to min-max him for maximum destructive potential. They're just going to be supportive of each other in all the wrong ways. And it'll be delightful for it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Gun Commanders is going to be the voice of reason and moderation, whether he wants to hear it or not. You're going to devote your entire military force to go after Shadow while there's an invasion going on? No. You're going to focus on what needs to be focused on. You're going to put down the petty vendetta. You're not going to go challenge this superpowered hedgehog by yourself with a sidearm. You're going to stay in command and lead your troops. I don't care if you don't like it. That's the way it's going to be. Meanwhile, Doom has something from the dark area. I mean, come on now. And whether it becomes mind-controlled or Doom just kind of browbeats it into submission, it's going to become another minion of his. Whether it stays loyal or decides to break away Shadow-esque, I leave that up for you to decide. But whatever this minion is, it's going to be powerful and it's going to be warped.
Nice. Well, I guess that's all we got. Apparently, I'm supposed to come up with a theme for Twilord's next mini, but that feels kind of weird, and I don't know what theme that should be. So we'll figure that out later. Anyway,
if you have any ideas, give them to Kyle down in the comments below.
Yes, tell me something. Anyway.
So thanks for Twilord for sponsoring this episode. Head over to patreon.com/BumbleKast or ko-fi.com/BumbleKast to see how you can get a BumbleKast Mini of your own.
We'll see you next time.